streaming on Twitch. They both offline, so. And we're streaming on YouTube. Perfect. Need to update the chat. There we go. Let's update the titles one more time, just in case. Alright, we're all set, but I'll wait a couple more minutes just in case. It's a long day today, a lot of hard work. But I'm not afraid of hard work. I like it. I enjoy it. It's nice. It's nice to feel like you're doing something in life. Sometimes that's not always true, but it's alright. I enjoy it anyway. Okay. I think that's long enough. So, last time, I don't even really remember where we left off last time. But we have our to-dos. So number 1 is adding the battle royale aspect, where there's rising water and lava. And then the other is fixing the game starting even when there's no arena. So the first, or this third one should be pretty easy to implement. But while we're here, I noticed that there's a lot of, say, duplication, I guess. It's like here, the game over setup, we check for all this, and then the waiting for the game setup, it's all this. So I think what I'm actually going to do is where should I add this? Yeah, Spleef. I'm gonna create a new Java class. We're just gonna call this game. This is gonna be an abstract class. That's joined. And in here, I'm going to say public game. And then we're going to have the ticks, or the increment, I should say. A maximum. We'll do tick. And then int increment. Just like that. And up here, we can say private int maximum, private int increment, private long tick. Here, we just set it up. So the thought process behind this is to make it easier to do games in the future if I decide to do games. But yeah, so we got public game. So now let's add our maximum, our increment, and our tick as getters. Okay, so now let's add our abstract methods. So we got public abstract void, and this will just be run, I suppose. So it's gonna run. Actually, no, this isn't what's gonna be abstract. void, public void run, and in here we're going to go into our Spleef game, and I'm going to take some of this logic and put it in our game here. So I'm also going to say private int current. And we also need our private Spleef game, Spleef. So we need to pass it Spleef here. Say this dot Spleef is equal to Spleef, and the current is just going to start at 0. So what we want is to check if the current is greater than the maximum. In fact, instead of Spleef, I am going to do the Spleef game. No. What do I want to do with that? Right. Okay, I'm still figuring it out. So there's 3 different methods we will need to run, which is, one is protected, abstract, void, timer, passed. Then we got protected, abstract, void, timer, increment. Then we have protected, abstract, void, timer, upcoming. Okay. And we're going to pass in a second for that and a second for this. My apologies if you hear the baby in the background. She doesn't. Yeah, she's probably waiting for her bath. But yeah, so those will be our abstract methods, and the current is greater than or equal to the maximum. Then we're going to run the timer passed, and I can get rid of all of this. Say return. That way, I can just do this. Then we're going to check if the current mod of the increment is equal to 0. And with that, I can say timer increment, and we know the second is the maximum minus the current. Remove this and say return. And then finally, if the current is greater than or equal to the maximum minus 3, then here we are going to say timer upcoming, and the second is maximum minus the current. And there's nothing here, so I'm just going to say if this is less than that, then just return. Otherwise, we'll do timer outputting. So this gives us our basic game. What's this one? Oh, right, these can all be final. Not current. Current cannot be final. Current should increase. So this is running. What's wrong here? Never used, right? So let's also add our public get Spleef and public get current. So then we're gonna also want a public boolean and say is complete. say return current is greater than or equal to the maximum. Know that it's done. I like these to be. I keep on doing that. Visual Studio's messing me up. There we go. Now, we haven't utilized game loop just yet. Run is what I want for that. So what we're gonna want to do is say up here, private final bucket task. Task, I guess. And down here, we're going to say task is equal to new bucket runnable. And how do we have this in here? Bucket runnable. And we need to implement the method run. Right. So we implement our run method. We run the task timer. We put in the plugin. We put in the delay, and we put in the period, which is our tick. That should be once per second. Inside of run, I'm just gonna call this .run. And okay. Well, instead of run, in fact, let's make this protected. Because I don't really want that to run unless called. We'll do instead. We'll just call it tick instead, I guess. And we'll tick. There we go. But before ticking, we will say current plus plus. Current initially equals 0, and we run this consistently. And then down here, or no, up here, we're going to say public void end. And end will simply say if task does not equal null and not task dot is canceled, then we will cancel the task. Then we know that it's all set. Perfect. It's ended. That's the dot that's canceled. We'll just essentially say that. Or current is greater than or equal to the maximum. This both would be true if it's ended. Perfect. So now every second or every tick we enter, it's going to tick and increase current, and it'll run one of these three methods or none of them if this is the one that's true, which is perfect. Now if we go into the Spleef game, we can say something along the lines of private game timer, I guess. Technically, I guess I should have called it timer or game timer. So let's actually change that. So we'll call this a game timer. Rename the file. Good. So private game timer. And so now, what we're going to want is say timer is equal to a new game timer. And so now this will, well, first this will ask for information. So the maximum for the first one is the game setup timer max. the increment, which is 5. Game statement increment. And then the tick will be 20. So that's all set. And now we can just input our timer past, timer increment, and timer upcoming, which we can snag from... We got a crime baby back there. Here. So we can say grab these. This is, yeah, not in game, so this is the initial. So this is for if the timer's passed, right? Then we got if the timer's incrementing. That's an irritating cry. That's what we call a fake baby cry. They just want attention. They do it all the time now. So that's the increment. And then none of those. What am I doing? This one. We put this one in the timer upcoming. So we already have second there. So let's just plug in second here. And we've already got second there. So we got everything set up here. Good. So that sets up our first timer. And so now when the timer is passed, that means this one's done. Then we can say timer equals a new game timer. And we can put in a new timer. So we put in Spleef. The maximum is the game in wait timer and the game statement increment in 20L. So now we've got our second timer. And I can actually remove this entire method now because we're not using it. And so in here now, all we need to do is this one, this one, but we'll replace this with second, and this one. And we can remove second because second already exists and is provided for us.
Trying to think.
So what I'm actually going to do is not make this final. And we are going to add a reset inside of here. This reset is going to set current equal to 0. And it's going to set task equal to this. We're also going to say end. I want to end the previous task if it exists. And then up here, I'm just going to say reset. It's just going to start something. Then, inside of the Spleef game, in fact, we can add a package called timers. Refactor it. And let's make a class called not in game timer. And this extends our game timer. And we implement our methods. and we create our constructor, which I don't need any of this anymore. We know our maximum for the in-game timer is 5. Our increment is 5. And our tick is 20L. So we don't need that information, but we still need the Spleef information. So inside of Spleef game, we can now take this timer. In fact, I can just drag all the way down here. I think I got it right. Yeah. Cool. And paste it here. What I'm not going to have is this second timer in here. We'll have that be figured out in a second. So Spleef will now need to become protected. And that should get rid of those errors. Let's see, timer pass. In fact, we can just pass in a Spleef game and get the whole game itself. And the game itself has Spleef, which is good. So now we can say private final Spleef game. And down here we can say this.game equals game. And this will start our timer too. Now what we can do is say game.getPlayers instead of just players. And here's game.getPlayers again. Was it players? So players is up here, I believe. Yeah, that's all players. But what I want to get playing players instead. Yes. And this I want get playing players as well. Good. And it'll say get ready. You have sure, get current seconds before you can break blocks. Or we can do get maximum. You have get maximum seconds before you can break blocks. Okay. Let's see here. This seems, because the maximum here is different. Let's add a third method. Protected, abstract, void, timer, initialized. I think that's important. And then here, we're going to have it before the reset. Yeah. I think that's important, having the timer initialized as well. In fact, I'm going to add a boolean, default initialized. And we'll say if default initialized, then do it. Otherwise, don't. So then we have the option. And I'll see whether or not I want reset above or below. So like, for example, here, I can say false. I don't want the default initialized because I want to initialize game first and then do timer initialized. Right? Sometimes you'll want to do that. So I'm going to add that. I'm going to implement our timer initialized method. And this will change a little bit of the structure here. When the timer is initialized, I'm not going to worry too much. But we do know that when the game ends and it's after the game over, right, we want to teleport players to the lobby like this. Right. And so when we initialize, I would actually like to do this. What did that just do? No. No. Why did that do that? Get the playing players and teleport them to the lobby and set them up when the timer is initialized. Yes, I do want that to happen. And then as we increment, we want get playing players. Get playing players. And those two are fine. That's increment not coming, but it's not timer passed. Timer passed is what's important. So that's the not in-game timer. Now let's add the waiting game timer. This extends a game timer. We implement our methods. And we create our constructor. So our constructor, we don't need all this nonsense. The maximum's going to be 5, the increment's 5, the tick is 20L, and we'll say that it is default initialized. We'll also do Spleef game here. The game.get plugin. Then we're going to want to figure out what's in here. So up top, we should have that information actually. So we have timer passed, so waiting game, timer increment. Oops, that's not where that goes. And timer upcoming. Okay, so we do need the game set up. So private final Spleef game. Okay. Say this dot game equals game. And down below we'll say game.get playing players on all three, and we should be set with the waiting game timer. So when we initialize, we're going to want to actually take a lot of this and move it to our timer initialized in here. Let's get the information we need right now. And then that's good. We don't need random here anymore. The problem is the pickaxe. So when is the pickaxe added? Initialize. And then we do it down here. So what we're going to do instead is give it to them inside of our not in-game timer right here after we set them up. Perfect. That should work. So when the timer's passed, we'll say this, and then we initialize a new timer, which will be this, which will teleport them all. I got a message. Okay. Um, good. Good, 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 good. So that's our 2 timers so far. What other timers do we have? We have the game over timer. And we have the actual game loop. So let's add our game over timer. Extends the game timer. Let's implement our methods. Create our constructor. I'm going to assume this is same song. We'll do 5 seconds, 5 increments. The ticket's 20L and false. And we're going to, instead of Spleef, say Spleef game, game.get plugin, and this time game equals game, and initialize, timer initialized. Did I do that for this in here? I did not. Timer initialized. And then up here, we're going to say private final game Spleef game. And okay, so this class is set up. So now let's go down to where we have our game over. So our game over is here. I believe we actually have this all set up now inside of the not in-game timer. Is the timer passed? Yes, we do. Good. So we don't need that in our timer. We do need this inside of our increment. So game over timer, increment, do game dot get playing players, and we'll post seconded here. And finally, our last one. So there you are. Move the second. Got game.get playing players. And second is already handled. Okay, perfect. So that handles a lot there. And then when the timer is passed, it will... In fact, we could do custom events if we want. But now we'll leave that there. So I can delete these 2. Wait, where's the 3rd? Did I already delete it? I think I did. Nice. I'll keep that for now, but we can delete this massive thing. And up top, maybe not up top. Here, we can say private final, and we can have our not in-game timer, or we can just say game timer, right? Game timer, not in-game timer, and we'll say is equal to new not in-game timer. And the game that we're passing in is this. And so now we want 2 more, one of which is the waiting game timer, and the other which is the game over timer. Over timer, waiting game timer. So we've got our timer set. Then we can say private final game timer current timer. This won't be final, sorry. Already have it. Already forgot that I had it. So when we say start, the current timer, we're going to say not in-game timer, reset, and then we're going to say the current timer is equal to the not in-game timer. Then we're going to say that's true. When I create them like this, right. Okay. We're not going to do it like this. We're just going to say right here, the current timer is equal to a new not in-game timer. Pass in this. I'm going to rename this as the timer. And that should be good there. Where we have if timer.isComplete, then we're going to set, then what we're going to do is check if the timer is an instance of the not in-game timer, and we're going to set the timer equal to a new waiting game timer. Otherwise, if the timer is an instance of the waiting game timer, we're going to set the timer to end. Otherwise, if the timer is an instance of the, what was the other one? Game over timer, we're going to say timer is equal to a new not in-game timer. This. And these will actually keep track of everything. Okay, this will actually cause the loop to occur. None of all this other fancy stuff is needed. When we say reset, what we're going to want in actuality is simply restart. Actually, when initializing the not the game over timer, maybe the timer passed for it. No, we're gonna want it in the not in-game timer. Put it in timer initialized. And remove all items from the world. Not before. Stop doing that, please. Not before we teleport people to the lobby. Perfect. So now that's working properly, and we don't really need reset anymore. Start kind of resets it anyway. So let's just say start. We don't need any of these variables anymore. In fact, a lot of them are just kind of useless now. We have our ending there. We have a timer. I don't want it to be a local variable. So instead of is in-game, we can say the timer is an instance of, or the timer is not an instance of it not in-game timer. So whenever it's anything but that, we're in a game. Then we can say timer instance of waiting game timer. And if it's running, we can say timer dot, well, we'll probably remove is running. And we don't need, we can get rid of quite a few things. Clear this all up. Make it a little cleaner. I'm not going to go any further than this just because I want this to remain simple. Yes, this is nice. Cheap viewers on streamboo.com by Scarlet Enhancement 9L. Oh man, that sounds enticing. I think I'd rather not purchase those. Good. I mean, this should take care of everything. What am I missing? I mean, I'm technically missing the actual game loop. Now we need to go through things and remove reset. We don't need reset anymore. Disable. We don't need reset there. What about my listener? Checking if the game's running or placing blocks. I can technically just remove that. Good. Oh, there's one more. Good. I mean, all of that will be covered immediately. Like, yeah, it'll be covered. So... I need to make sure to clone these because we're adding and subtracting firstly. But the block under, I want to make sure that we're just going down like 0.5 so that if there is a slap, which there shouldn't be, but if there is a slap, then it won't be busted there. Yeah, this all looks correct, which is good. Things that I would like to do are adding custom events. So let's do something along the lines of a package for... before we do that, let's commit our changes. Move game timers to their own abstract classes to make cleaner. Commit anyway and push. Good. And yes, we want our own custom events. So let's make a new package for events. And the first event will be Spleef. I'm going to start all of them with Spleef so everyone knows it's Spleef related. Spleef teleport to spawn event. Is that even necessary? Spleef teleport to arena event. I feel like that's way more necessary. This extends the event listener? Or is it just event? No. I think it's just event and implements cancelable if I want to cancel it. Methods, get handlers. I don't remember what I need to do for the handler list. Let's look that up really quick. Custom event. Custom events. Adding custom events and unexpected error. Well, that's awesome. The handler list. Right, it's just basically this, isn't it? And then you just return the handlers list. What else do I need? What? Why do I need this? Whatever, who cares? So here we've got public Spleef teleport to arena event, and we've got Spleef game. That's the important thing we want. We want the game. So public Spleef game. This is final. Then this.game is equal to game. And down here we can say public Spleef game, get game, return game. That should work fine. I don't want anyone extending this, so we'll make this final. Good. So now, when we are in the waiting game timer and the timer is initialized, how do I call this? I remember kind of how to call it, but not really. So I need to say the Spleef teleport to arena event is equal to new that, and then we need to get the game. And then we say bucket.get plugin manager dot call event at the event that we want to call. So now in my listener, if I were to add an event listener or event handler, public void on arena teleport, Spleef teleport to arena event. This should get called, and we should be able to say bucket dot broadcast message teleported wall, and we'll do event.get game.get to string and see what in the world it says. That should work. So let's click install, see if there's any errors. Okay, was successful. So now let's give it a test, because it has been a hot second since we've tested, and not only that, we need to make sure that our new timers work. So or that actually, one thing we forgot is when we go into the game end, our timer is going to equal the new game over. Come on, game over timer. Alright, that's not going to actually work, is it? In fact, it's not going to work at all. We're going to need a custom event, yeah. So this one I'm going to call custom game timer finished event. ends event, and it's not going to be cancelable. Let's just basically copy and paste. We can definitely put in the Spleef game, but what we're really going to want, I don't want that public. Whoopsie daisy. Public here. What we're gonna really want is private final game timer. We're gonna want to get that timer. So game timer is all that needs to be passed in here, because the game can be timer.get get what? Okay. Then this.timer is equal to timer. You can always check what type of timer it is and all that other nonsense. But timer, get timer, return timer. Okay. That should work. And inside of game timer, when we call timer passed, we're actually going to want to beforehand say custom game timer finished event equals new custom, and it's gonna pass this. We're gonna say bucket.get manager.call event and the event. So now we say event handler. Come on, public void on custom game timer completed. Then we'll say custom game timer finished event. Then in here, we're going to want to actually set the timer. So I'm going to actually say public void set timer, because that is important. Game timer. And we'll say timer this timer is equal to timer. And I'm going to be taking this and we're going to be shoving it inside of our listener. The timer, game timer is equal to event.get timer. Waiting for timer. So we're gonna want to say event.getGame.setTimer to a new waiting game timer, and then we'll say event.getGame. Do the same here. Otherwise, it'll end the timer. Okay, that should be fine now. Right. That should work well. And in our end, we need to set the timer to the new game over timer, and then it should loop everything all over again. So let's go ahead and also make sure that this is triggered. Game timer finished. And install this. Okay, I've made quite a few changes. Hopefully it works first try, because I don't want to debug it, if I'm honest. Let's make sure it starts up. Okay, it does load the plugin. It's great. Okay, I'm not seeing any notifications or anything along those lines. Oh. Uh-oh. Interesting. Okay, it did not load correctly. Why did it say it? Oh, it didn't. Okay. I was looking at World Edit instead for some reason. Alright, let's figure this out. So... it says there's an issue. Configuration. That's fine. Let's go to the very bottom one. This is within Spleef game, not in-game timer. So this is in our not in-game timer. 24, which takes us to game timer. 24, which takes us to reset, which is 42, which is here. Plugin attempted to register task while disabled. Okay. Interesting. I'll just say that. This is on enable. We create a new game, not in-game timer. We go to the super class, and we reset. All right. That's interesting. It didn't have a problem before, did it? Started perfectly fine. What does it say up here? So that's all fine and dandy, sure. Wonder if there's an event for this where on bucket load, something like that. Bucket server load event. Of course. Let's look up really quick what the server load event does. Server load event. So it says this event is called when either the server startup or reload has completed. Okay, that's kind of what I would like instead to run all of my garbage. Instead of like on whatever this is called. So I'm actually going to boop. And then we're going to go into here and do it there instead. I gotta do spleef.getGame instead. And the configuration is file manager. Config is equal to spleef.getSpleef We're going to need spleef.getGame.start. Okay. Yeah, I would rather. I've never seen that event before, so that's interesting. Yeah. Let's go ahead and try that, see what happens. In fact, there might be less errors, who knows? Although, let's find out. Where is it? Oh, I'm on it. Restart. Let's change to testing. Let's make sure it started up, actually. That might be important. Okay, we're still getting an error. Exception initialized in main. Okay, does it still not show up in here when I join? Yeah, it's still red. Okay. Alright, time to do some troubleshooting. So this is called in Spleef line 36. Right here. Okay, so in here, we create a Spleef game and we start it. We're not doing that anymore. We will call start when the game or when the server is fully loaded. So let's remove that, try that one more time. Restart the server. Wow, we've been going at it for a minute. Just feels like it flies by for me. Oh, hey! I loaded up. Game timer finished. Creating arena. Please be patient. It is spamming that like crazy, which makes me nervous that it is constantly creating the arena. Let's see. There is an error going on. Maybe if I get out of game mode. There's 2 game timers triggering it being finished. Cannot invoke get playing players because this .game is null. Where is that at? Timer upcoming. Inside of waiting game timer. Interesting. That would be set over in our My Listener. Down at the bottom. Where we set a new waiting game timer and we do event.getGame. So the get game is null. Alright, we'll just do Spleef game here. And we'll basic game. Which means we will need to change it somewhere else. I don't remember where we have it. Is it custom timer? Or game timer? Yes. So inside of here, we're going to need the actual game itself. For tick. Thinking. We can stop this. I mean, if I pass in Spleef game here, this no longer becomes a universal game timer. I could do reflections, but that's slow. Not that it matters too much. Can do something like this. Dot get class. Dot get field game. Something like that. I don't remember exactly how it is. And then dot get. And you pass in your object, which would be this. And get would return an object, yes. So you would need to cast it to the Spleef game. Should I just do it like that? Would that be fun? Yes, it would be fun. Surround with try-catch. Collapse. Would it be fun? Yes. Would it be not very smart? Also, yes. Let's fix that. Alright, we just won't make it custom based. We'll pass game in here. In fact, we won't need to pass game in anymore. It's in the constructor. So we're going to say protected final Spleef game. And in that way, we won't need Spleef anymore because we will have Spleef game. So pass this in. Here is game.getPlugin. Here is we won't need to pass it in anymore, so we'll say this because we can now say game.getPlugin or timer.getGame because we will make that. Let's scroll down a little bit. Spleef is now game.getPlugin, and then we have public Spleef game get game return game. There we go. And not only that, I think we'll need to change a few things here. So this will need to go because we don't need it anymore. Not only that, but these can go. And we can just make it default initialized. Wait, why didn't I do this before? This would be game.getPlugin. All of this would be. Anything that says Spleef here would be that. Let's optimize those imports. And then same here, just passing game. Remove, true, and remove. Don't need you anymore. Good, and then we have the waiting game timer. Which, remove, default initialized. Well, that's a mistake also that I had prior, I suppose. But that's fine. Paste. Anything else Spleef related? Good. Let's remove that. And that should make everything happy. Or so I hope. Let's try it out. build was successful. Let's go ahead and drag our plugin in. Start. And we will give it a shot. Let's also make sure that let's load the plugin. Let's give it a shot. Oh, that's not good. I can't do anything. Send help. Okay. Let's find out what went on there. It's still doing things, even. Okay, that was kind of funny. It's just singing a song to us. So the problem here, I suppose, we know that this works, and we know that this works. So let's go ahead and get rid of those. We know they work. We're happy that they work, but they're not working as I want them to. So let's fix that. So we set the timer. We get the timer. I think I need to type timer, not end, here though. The problem is, it's triggering what it's not supposed to trigger. Switch Steam. Able to do this. This is fine. It's collapsed. Why? So it's interpreting it as completed, which is not good. Let's go ahead and check the not in-game timer, which is what's supposed to be starting. And this... No, we need to be a game timer because that's where it's running. So inside of run, yeah, this should only be called when the current is past the maximum. Okay, let's try that. See if that change makes a difference. And if it does, cool. If it doesn't, well, we get to see funny things again. Server to start up. Okay, that did work. Okay. Looks like it's working how it did before. Besides, I can't break blocks. What if I jump on bedrock? Okay, it's not interpreting the game as started. So... okay, need to fix that. It's kind of fun to see. But yeah, that's unfortunate. That's not working as we want it to. The timer doesn't reset anything. So there's a few things we're gonna need to fix. Let's go take a look. So thankfully, this is working like it should. These are fine. But I think it's the listener, actually, where it's not detecting that we're in a... that we're able to dig now. So checking if not in game and or is in wait. I think I confuse myself so much with this. So if the player is not in a game or the player is waiting, hold on, what? Oh, right, because we already handled that. Right. It's in here that... Okay, so we're checking if the player is in a game and the player is not waiting. Okay, this makes sense as to why it's throwing a fit. We're going to need to add our third game timer, or fourth game timer. Spleef timers. In-game timer. Extends the game timer. Implement, boom, and super, boom. We already know this information. We want the maximum to be, say, 30, the increment to be 10, and the tick to be 20L. And it would be default initialized. So when it's initialized, don't worry about it. I'm just going to leave all these blank. I don't want to have to care. So now, I'm going to close a bunch of these out because so much is open. So now, inside of my listener, we are going to go back down here. So when the case is our in-game timer, then we're just going to do timer.reset. Okay? And every time the timer is passed, we're just going to say bucket.broadcast message timer passed. And in our timer increment, we're going to say bucket.broadcast. I'm just going to keep it really simple. Seconds. And here we're going to say bucket.broadcast message second plus second. I don't care about the 1 second remaining. I just care that this works. So when we're in listener, we're not going to do timer.end anymore. This is going to be event.getGame.setTimer, new in-game timer, event.getGame. So let's install this and see if it works, which it should. I don't know why it wouldn't. Legitimately wouldn't know why it wouldn't. Should work. Let's give it a shot. Let the server start up a second. Work! Okay, so let's go ahead and join. Should just... Okay, so we should be in the actual game loop now. Yes, we are. And I should be able to break blocks now. Perfect. And place. Yep, and we got our randomness. And I should be able to die now. If I die, teleporting back to the lobby. Okay. Okay, few things wrong there. However, we can see the basic premise works, which is great. So let's go ahead. And 23, 2, 1. Timer passed. Then it should say, okay. Good. Good. Okay. That looks like that works. But, well, I see our problem. We are going straight to the waiting game timer instead of the not in-game timer. Yeah, that's what happens when you're tired. But what I'm actually going to do is add long delay. Wow, that was butchered. Long delay here. And we're going to implement it here. Say this dot delay is equal to delay. And we're going to implement it here. Then we're going to say inside of here that we're going to want long delay. We're going to want long delay in all of our timers. So game over, long delay. In game, long delay. Not in game, already has it. And then long delay. Then we're going to pass our delay here. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want us to be able to set a delay for if we're teleporting between worlds, because sometimes when we're teleporting, it like kind of, how do I put this? Like it'll say 3, 2, 1 immediately instead of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because we're teleporting between worlds and it's still counting on the timer. So I'm going to actually be making it so that there is a 2-second delay here. We do not need a delay here. And then we're going to teleport again, so 2-second delay here. So that's kind of my thought process there. We're also going to need it inside of our Spleef game. So the game over timer, there's no need for a delay because nobody's teleporting. Then not in game timer, we'll do a delay of 40. So one big thing that I need to fix is what happens when the timer's passed here inside of the listener. So inside of here, if the timer is passed, we need to say, let's do Spleef game is equal to event.get. And so we're going to pass the game in here, wherever we set event.get game. But we're also going to check if game uh, get playing players dot size is greater than or is equal to 0. So if this is empty, we're just going to say game.getPlayingPlayers for each, and we're going to do the Spleef player send message. Guess I can't do it like that. All right, x.send message, and we do chat color red there. Wait, why am I doing that? It's empty. There's no players. We don't need to do that. What am I doing? So let's just do game.setTimer to the new not in-game timer game with a 40L delay. And return. I do want to make sure the timer ends before we do that though. Perfect. So end should make it so that there are no duplicate timers going on. Good. That's what I want it to do. So if it's empty, not gonna start a new game or anything. We're just gonna chill. However, if we're already not in game, there we go. We're already not in game, and Alright, yeah, that's true. We're gonna want one more protected. Just a normal timer tick. That's run right up here. Timer tick. Most of them are gonna be empty. That's fine. But this way it'll be able to run in all of them. So implement timer tick. In game, this is the one, however, that I want to actually do something. So if the game dot get playing players dot is empty, then we're going to set the current equal let's make this protected. What is this doing? Stop it. There we go. So that way we can say the current is equal to the maximum. That's only if the players are empty. That way we always start with a fresh timer. In fact, we could just do that with everything if we want. We could do that with all of them like this or something else, but I'm just going to do that for not in-game timer. That's game over. In-game timer also needs the method, and we need the waiting game timer to implement it. Perfect. All right, so that looks good. This should resolve the majority of the issues that we've been seeing. Start. Yeah. Alright, now it doesn't start until we're on. Hey, free stuff. The game's begun. So if I do that, now let's jump. Teleports us back to the lobby. We cleared everything. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. That's funny though. So it's not closing out the current timer is the big problem. If I leave and I come back, well, this is interesting. That's not what I want to have happen. So it's running two at once. Let's check this. Oh. Wait a minute here. Inside of not in game, we don't want it to set to maximum. We want it to set to 0. Otherwise, it's going to constantly trigger the end. So I'm telling you guys, I'm tired. Let's try that. See if that works. Hopefully it does. Still does that. So let's do that. Leave. And see what happens when we rejoin in 3, 2, 1. Other timer's still going, but now it's just the one. Nice. Everything's cleared. And we have multiple of the in-game timer going on. But that should be pretty easy to fix. Alright. It's looking good. It's looking stable too, which is good. So the only unstable part should be that in-game timer. So let's take a look at where that's being triggered, because fairly certain it's caused by this end here, because we don't say timer.end. Let's add timer.end in there. And honestly, I think we should change this to 9 because I want to. Yeah, good idea. Good idea, Josh. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Let's delete trash and restart. So we'll see how this goes. If it's successful, I'll push to get. It should make life a lot easier, to be honest, for everything else. Alright, let's get on. And hopefully it all works. Okay, good. Awesome! Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Our in-game timer should be telling us... Yeah, there it is. Okay, so we have our in-game timer there. Let's die. And the in-game timer should have ended. I'm not seeing any other messages. A new in-game timer should have started right now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that works. So it does look like it's working. Yay! So that's great. Now we have our in-game timer, which... Wow, that was accidental. I mean, no, I didn't. But that should actually be good there. Let's go ahead and push the changes to Git. Added custom events. Patched any bugs. Essentially, that's what we did. As well as added the in-game time. Before we push, let's remove those broadcasts because those will be annoying for those inside of GitHub if they decide to look at the repository. So let's remove these broadcasts. And let's go our commits. Commit and push. Anyway, and push. Perfect. So, I don't think we accomplished any of these. I mean, if we accomplished partial to some of them, but we didn't really actually complete anything, to be honest. Let's go ahead and actually add the fix in there. So the not in-game timer. We can do it when the timer is passed. So we'll do file manager arena equals game.get plugin .get arenas .load. And we'll actually do this first. If arena.get section arenas get keys false is empty, then we're going to need to say Send message chat color.red. The game failed to begin since there are no arenas created yet. And after we send that message, we set the current equal to 0 to restart the timer and return. Actuality, inside of my listener, we also need to cut it out too. Because otherwise it'll go to the waiting time. Let me see. Where is the game timer? And where do we call the event? Call timer passed, and then we call the event. Let's call the event under the timer. Or under the timer passed. And let's change timer passed to a Boolean. What do you want? Return values never used? Yeah, I know. And only if the timer passed is true, then we'll call the event. That'll work. Yeah, it is not the prettiest thing, but it works. In-game timer. We have Boolean. Return true. Let's do this for all of ours. Let's say Boolean, and this will be return false instead. Here we'll have return true, because we do want to trigger it. Then we need our game over timer to reflect this. And we need our waiting game timer to reflect this. That should be good. And now, if there's no arenas, it should not display anything. So let's give this a test. Restart. Switch to testing. Creative / Spleef arena delete test. Now that test is deleted, there should be no other arenas. Now we're going to go back into survival and see what happens. The game failed to begin since there are no arenas created yet. Then arena create 20. I don't need water first 20. And then name is just test. So now let's just create our basic arena again. Set white. We're just gonna go way up. slash Spleef arena spawn. Oops, spawn. There we go. Go into game mode survival. And it should work. Yay! Let me mine! It's not fast enough! Okay. 3, 2, 1. Alright, it does look like it works. So that's good. And everything's a variable, so we always change those variables in configuration files if we want. Yeah, so this mining speed is nowhere near fast enough for if I want to see, I want to jump in it, it's a lot slower. Yeah, I don't want it like that. I want it blazingly fast, always. Take my stuff, bedrock. So, I need to figure that one out. Actually, technically already did. I just haven't cleared the configuration file yet. So why don't we do that? What's even in it? Oh yeah, the lobby too. Right. So let's remove this digger, save the changes, and restart the server. This should create a new one. Let's go to plugins, Spleef, config. Yes, there's the digger. Wait, where'd lobby go? Bruh. Well, no more lobby. Uh-oh. Alright, it's instant speed even when I'm jumping. Let's go. Now let's die. Okay, good, we're here. So right here, we'll just type slash Spleef lobby set. Slash game mode creative survival. So now it should work fine? Question mark. That's right, I have to be not a player for a certain period of time. I could technically disconnect. Reconnect. No. Is there an error in the console? There is an error in the console. Argument for location. Interesting. Okay, let's go back and check that out. Sure, it's in my listener and on join. Oh, we got a crying baby. I repeat, we got a crying baby. So, what seems to be the issue here? Illegal argument location. What? Interesting, okay. So that's that. What else do we have here? We've got the... Come on, show me where it is. There we go, my listener 69. Which is arena.getLocation. Oh boy. It's saying that illegal argument location. So firstly, this is the incorrect teleportation. So let's fix that. Spleef. Where is that at again? That would be inside of waiting game timer. Yeah, I have to do all these shenanigans in order to get it correct. Well, let's go ahead and add them. Is arena even used in here? I don't think I did use it. Game.getArena. I think that might be where our issue is because I never set the arena in the game. Yeah, it's never used. Get arena. I never use it. That's hilarious. Okay. Well, let's add a setter for it then, I guess. That's funny. Public void set arena. String arena. This dot arena is equal to arena. And inside of my listener. No, inside of waiting game. Is this where the arena is chosen? Yes, it is. Game dot set arena to name. So now that should be good. I wonder if you guys can even hear the screaming baby. So the name passed in is arena's dot, so I do need to be wary of that. So game.getArena. Get arena. We can remove this from it. Let's get the rest of the teleportation code, which is here. Let's also add... Hold up, what? Yeah, set yaw. The spawn store dot get yaw dot... Oh, come on. Spawn dot set yaw. Oh, yaw to the... Not arena look, spawn stored dot get yaw, and the spawn dot set pitch to the spawn stored dot get pitch. Let's also do that. My listener will have this, and then they'll teleport to spawn. Okay, that should work fine. If this is successful, I will probably... I'll do one more thing, and then I will be calling it quits for the night, because I've been doing this for almost 2 hours. So let's go to plugins, drag you in, drop Restart. Switch to testing. Yeah, we got an angry baby over there. She's actually angry. I can tell exactly who it is by the cry. Right, I should not have done that. Okay, so now if I disconnect, go back, there we go. I should be connected as a game over person. Where it says a game is already in progress, please spectate until the next game. Begin mode, survival, and jump off. I believe that's working. Besides the one thing I'm going to be adding. Woohoo! Yeah, I like the consistency. Speed! We want Speedy! Speedy dead! Oh, I tried. I got 3 blocks before I died. Wow. Okay, so that works well there. All right, let's do the one last thing that I said. So we're gonna add an event. And it's going to be the custom game Spleef game canceled event. So extends event. That is not the correct event. Let's go to the other events. It's just copy and paste things. We don't want game timer anymore. We want the game that is canceled. This game is equal to game. Awesome. That's our timer. Perfect. So now what we want is when we're in the not in-game timer, this is fine, right? However, if we're in the waiting game timer, we're all already teleported. So we need to do something different. So what we're going to do here is the Spleef game cancel. Come on. Game canceled event. It's equal to a new one of the game. And then we're going to do bucket.get plugin manager call event. So now I'm going to end up copying this and pasting it in the in-game timer. Boom. And in our no, the game over timer is fine. The game over timer is just teleporting everybody back. So all good there. Okay, that should get what I want in order to go into my listener and implement it. I wonder how to collapse everything. Is it this? No, that is something entirely different. I wish there was a collapse all keyboard shortcut. I don't know what it would be. Okay, so at event handler public void on game canceled. And we called it Spleef game canceled event. So all we're gonna do here is take the Spleef game. Oh, Spleef game is equal to the event.getGame. And then we're going to say game.getTimer. Did we not have a method for that? I thought we totally added a method for that. Guess not. Public game timer, get timer, returning timer. Now, here, get timer, and so we'll end the current timer. Then we set a new timer, saying new, not in-game timer, and then the game, as well as the delay, so 40L. And that should be good there. So it'll cancel the game because there's no playable characters, and we'll restart the timer. Perfect, that should work well. We can test it really quick and should be able to mark the vast majority of the known bugs as complete, which is great. Restart. Refresh. See what happens when I leave the server, or go in game mode creative. I go in game mode creative, then survival immediately. Yes! Alright, let's go. Looks like what I wanted it to do worked. One more thing we do need to test that we didn't yet is long intervals. So let's go to not game timer. The maximum we'll set to 15 now. Game over we'll set to 15 as well. In-game timer, don't care about that one. And waiting timer. Okay, that should be enough for us to test it, I would think. Let's go ahead, plug that right on in, and restart the server. Seconds. All right. Let's leave, rejoin. Should start the timer right on over. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Yeah, 15 seconds before you can break the blocks. Cool. Now, if I were to get a game over, okay, I'll need to change that because that's not correct. You will be teleported to the lobby in 5 seconds. But other than that, it looks like everything's working great. I'm going to change them back to 5. So 5 for the waiting. Game over is 5. However, it is not. Okay, that'll be in something else. 5. In-game timer? I don't know which one it is. Where when does it say that? I think it says it in the Spleef game. So let's go to the Spleef game where we end the game. Game is over. You will be teleported in blank seconds. Right. Good. Found it. Is this after they've been teleported? No, it's not, but this works. Here we have the timer for the game over timer. So now instead I can say timer dot get maximum right there. And honestly, that should clear out most of these up here. I don't think I need them anymore. You will be teleported to the lobby in the maximum seconds. Okay, let's just move this up to the top because I don't see any teleportations. So let's let's say timer dot get maximum here as well. That should work. We're going to go ahead and push to get added or fixed all known bugs from what we know. Patched the game not starting even when there is no arena. Committed push. And I'm going to call it quits from there. Oh, gotta remove this for today. We've got 2 items left, and one is the more basic of the two, or yeah, one is more game oriented and one is permissions oriented. So I'm looking forward to doing that tomorrow. I think we'll be able to do it tomorrow. It shouldn't be too difficult, but we're going to give it a shot. Should be fine. But thank you for watching. I have a baby that is screaming her head off that has not stopped for about 15-20 minutes now, so I need to go see what's going on there. But for those who are watching, thank you for watching and take care. Have a good rest of your night.